is the first month I won't be able to afford rent. I'm not a rich person. I don't have a lot of stuff. I have basic household necessities, a couch, a bed, washer, a dryer. That's about it. A car. I don't have a lot of lavish things. I don't go on vacations, and I don't spend a lot. Rent's increased from $1,300 to $1,800. The food prices are too high. I've cut back on eating because I literally cannot afford food. I've cut back on my favorite snacks, cat food, treats. I'm exhausted all the time from being overworked and underpaid. You don't catch a break when you grow up poor. I don't need much to be happy. I just want to be able to live comfortable. I just really need to catch a break right now. I'm trying so hard and I feel like I'm not doing enough. I don't have family. I don't have anything to fall back on. I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. I work full-time. He works full-time. We just got paid this past Friday, right? We paid the mortgage. Bought some groceries. Put some gas in the car. And guys, it is Tuesday. And we have like $200 or $300 to last us until next Friday. Like, we don't live in a big house. We live in a little ranch. It's 1,100 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, us and our 2 kids. And like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm in school full time. I work full time. He works more than full time. He works overtime every week. I don't know what to do. I'm so stressed out. This isn't how it's supposed to be. You know, growing up we were told, you know, go to college, get a degree, work to support your family. Here we are. Did that. Now what? Now what? I'm not into politics. I don't follow it. Frankly, that stresses me out too. But like, I don't know, somebody has to do something to change this, because like, I make good money. He makes good money. We don't live above our means. I don't know what less than paycheck to paycheck is. What is that? Poverty. As a registered nurse, with a husband, with a second income. He doesn't make as much as I do, but he still works and brings home good money. So, I don't know. While I was in school, all I could think about was, it'll get better. It'll get better after I graduate and I start working, and we'll be able to pay our bills. We'll be able to not check the bank account if our kids say, "Mom, can we go to the movies this weekend?" Just be comfortable. And we're not. We're not at all. I don't know what else to say. It's just, I don't know. I know there's been a lot of videos on TikTok about people, talking about the economy and, just how out of control prices are right now. We're all talking about it. I feel like...
Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time, welcome on board. Here we are one big family, and if you haven't subscribed by now, please hit on the subscribe button, hit on the like button, share this video with your friends, and also drop your comments and your thoughts in the comment section. Okay, so there has been global inflation is not just in the United States. The cost of living is skyrocketing virtually everywhere in the world right now. So it's not just a problem of the United States of America, right? As it is, the global inflation is at 5.8%. And in the US, as at April 2025, is about 2.3%, and it is projected to increase because of the recession, because of the trade wars and all of that, right? So in this video, obviously, it's about cost of living. And the two videos that we've watched, like the first girl, I really empathize with her. She said she doesn't have anything, she doesn't live above her means, and she can barely even pay her rent for the first time, and it's like she's living from hand to mouth. And then the second video, both of them are, you know, working hard, registered nurse, the husband brings in good money, she brings in good money, but they are literally left with only $300 after paying their bills. Even before coming to here, you know, there's been a saying that medical people, nurses, doctors make more money in America, right? They make more money. Like, this is someone that had gone to school, did, you know, the time and everything, and now that she's employed, thinking that she's gonna make more money to pay her bills, but it's becoming harder, right? I mean, I can't just believe it, because they said the registered nurses make above $100,000 a year, and then she said her husband makes good money, but she's still crying that things are hard and they can barely keep up with paying bills. At the end of the day, when they pay those bills, they are left with literally nothing. Guys, this is crazy, right? Just don't get it how things work here. It's like people, all Americans, are made to work and they don't get nothing out of it. The healthcare is not free. Virtually everything is not really free in this country, but you pay the most taxes, the most bills. So I don't get it. The mad ain't mighty. Keep watching.
This is what I'm struggling with in America right now in my 20s. Why is everything so expensive? Why am I making more money waitressing than I would make using my college degree? I barely have a life. I have 2 days off and I work Wednesday to Sunday, doubling just to pay my bills. At 22 years old, all of my bills are in my name. I have no help. How are y'all affording housing? In Myrtle Beach, a 1-bedroom apartment is $1,500. How are y'all getting insurance, going to the doctor, getting medicine? And then some of us are trying to be TikTok influencers. Who knows where that's going to get me? Me and my boyfriend are saving, but we barely see each other during the week, and it feels like we're working our off for nothing. Do we need to move somewhere for a better job opportunity that we don't know about? Do any of y'all really know what you want to do with your life right now? It is so scary being in America right now.
What am I doing wrong? I work every day and I'm still broke. Like, I have a decent job, I make some decent money, but I live out here in Cali. Like, bro, as soon as I get paid, I have all these bills stacked up, bro, that shit wipes me clean. Like, fuck, I got no money left over. Making $100,000 a year doesn't get you anywhere nowadays.
Hi guys, I'm really stressed today. I just went to the grocery store, bought 10 items, and it was $80 freaking already. I literally have $10 left on my account. So, a little backstory. I got laid off from my job a month ago, and I've been applying for jobs months before I got laid off. Sent out hundreds of resumes already. Applied to hundreds of jobs on the internet, remote and on-site. Tailored my resume to every position that I applied using ChatGPT. Went to only a few interviews, and still nothing. Like, what the f is going on with America right now? Like, it's so freaking hard to live here. Like, I'm gonna stay positive. I'm gonna keep applying for jobs. I'm gonna keep showing up. But man, my bills are not going to wait.
Y'all, I just went today and got my driver's license renewed, my car tags renewed, picked up 2 prescriptions, and got a few groceries. To say that I'm completely broke now is an understatement. So I'm going to have to go home and start selling off my furniture to be able to live the rest of the month. I mean, that's just, it's unbelievable. And my heart hurts today. Truly hurts for people who are not able. And we're living in some rough times, really rough times. And we need to be praying for all those around us who are not as fortunate as we are to be able to do the things that we need to do. I'm not talking about extras. I'm not talking about going on vacation and doing fun things. I'm talking about living, taking care of your vehicle, if you can even afford a vehicle, putting groceries on the table, buying medicine, the things you have to do. It's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, it's a really sad thing here. You know, we have a generation that is right now trying to survive in the US, and they're doing it at a time that it is so difficult with the rising costs. I really do feel for the younger generation and even for the older generation. I mean, you're hearing the stories here that it's just so difficult right now. You go and do a few things and it's like your bank account is empty, and that is the reality. Money goes by so quickly, and the reason why is because primarily, in my opinion, wages have not kept up here in the US. That's a fact. And also the cost of everything has gone up so dramatically that right now it's just not lining up. It's really, really, really difficult to make ends meet. And you do have to start learning to do with less. Take out the luxuries in life, take out the unnecessary vacations, the unnecessary spending, take out the wants, and really just focus on the needs. And even just by getting the needs, purchasing the needs, taking care of your needs, even that really starts to draw people broke. And I'm seeing more and more that people are having a harder time to cope with this because it's getting too stressful. And even though this has been going on for years now, and if the pot continues to boil, I really believe things are just going to get a lot worse because people are already living on the edge, and you already can not afford something extra to happen or something extra to come up without just kind of going in the hole. So that's why I've been a proponent of just living as minimally as possible for years now, being as debt-free as possible and living frugally, because look at where we are today. Look at what's going on in the world.
60% of Americans don't earn enough to afford basic costs of living.
This is America.
And stop calling it the bottom 60%. 60% is over 50%, which means it's the overwhelming majority of people in the United States that cannot afford a minimum quality of life. Now, a lot of people like to talk about the official unemployment rate being 4.2%, and they're like, oh, it's so low. But what they never talk about is the US jobless rate is 24%. These are people who are considered functionally unemployed. That includes people who don't have jobs, people who have jobs but have poverty wages, which means they don't get paid enough to even be out of poverty, and people who are unable to find full-time employment because they're stuck in part-time jobs. And now those 60% of people who already can't make it to the minimum quality of life are about to start paying more money for fucking everything because of Trump's tariffs. Literally, Walmart came out and said that the US trade war is going to create higher prices and that higher prices are inevitable. Meanwhile, Trump is getting ready to accept a $400 million luxury jet from Qatar. He plans on doing a $92 million military parade for himself during his birthday. And Republicans are still trying to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And by the way, the Medicare, Medicaid they're trying to cut will kill 21,600 Americans per year. That's Trump's way of making America great again.
60% of Americans do not earn enough to afford the basic cost of living. This is crazy. This is literally outrageous, right? And this is the same America, or would I say the Western world usually project that Americans and Europeans really live good, right? That was what they've been showcasing for the most part. They live well, they live great, they have the basic stuff that, you know, the government provides. So the way they make it look as if literally the citizens are not really suffering, the citizens are living their best lives, right? And then here it is with the advent of social media, and everything now is being brought to the fore, right? We are seeing things like in its real sense, right? Unlike when there was no social media, right? A lot of the Western media was controlled by the Westerners, right? But now with the advent of social media, we are meant to see things clearly. We are meant to see the truth behind all those glamorous Hollywood movies where it's being showcased that Americans are literally living their best life. Meanwhile, they are living in poverty, so to speak, right, compared to the rest of the world, because this country has money. Although they say it's only 1% of the population that have that kind of money, and they are the one controlling everything, right?
Can somebody explain to me in crayon eating terms why I make over 3 times the federal minimum wage and I cannot afford to live?
I know he kind of answered the question himself in his own video, but I want to highlight one thing he briefly mentioned and talk about it, which is that the American dream is dead. Yes, the traditional American dream, which is like doing better than your parents and being able to provide a lot for your family, is dead, or at least it's changed. Because there are many of us that are well aware that we will never be able to make as much money as our parents did. And I think my mother, who is a boomer and benefited directly from the system in place, said it best when she once said, roughly, that the American dream has changed. It's become very apparent to everyone that in this economy, Gen Z, millennials, and some Gen Xers, many of us will not be able to do better than our parents. We won't even be able to do as well as our parents. And now the American dream has become just being able to get by, being able to maybe afford a house at some point, maybe have a kid or two if we're lucky enough to make that much money. And a lot of us, myself included, who has now experienced company like financial related layoffs twice so far in the last 2 years since I've entered the job market. You know, those of us who feel like we're constantly in fight or flight about bills and how we're going to keep making it by, it's making us miserable and feel so hopeless. And yes, I could sit here all day and show you graphs of how like inflation is going up, and while wages are going up, it's just not matching inflation. So it feels like we're all just constantly working and working, and the goalpost just keeps getting moved further and further away from us. And yeah, it has a lot of us extremely stressed and worried and feel like just giving up because we're constantly running a race where the finish line is getting moved further out. And I think it's obvious that we're all just really exhausted by it now. I know I am. I'm constantly hitting a wall with all of this. And a lot of us have to wake up every day blatantly knowing we will never do as well as our parents did. And we just have to try to make it, you know, somewhat close to that. I'm sorry. My dad passed away several years ago on this date. So I'm just thinking about him, and sometimes I feel like he'd be proud of me, but sometimes I feel like he'd be very disappointed. But he was also an extremely intelligent businessman with multiple degrees, so I think he, more than anyone, would really understand what we're all feeling right now.
A 90% chance of a recession. That is the prediction tonight from a top economist, Torsten Slok, painting a dire picture of Trump's trade war and the implications, saying it's pushing the U.S. economy to the brink of full-blown crisis. He writes that in just weeks, quote, the consequence will be empty shelves in U.S. stores in a few weeks and COVID-like shortages for consumers and for firms using Chinese products as intermediate goods. And the administration tonight not giving much of a reassurance when pressed on this prediction.
Are you worried about empty shelves?
Not at present. We have some great retailers. I assume they pre-ordered.
Those great retailers were all just at the White House, some of the biggest ones. CEOs of Walmart, Target, and Home Depot, they warned Trump in that meeting that his tariffs could lead to product shortages and more. Barclays tonight is echoing the warnings in a memo to investors, writing, we expect a sharp slowdown and a likely U.S. recession in the coming quarters. All of it comes as tonight we're learning Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Chase, reportedly told investors just days ago, according to the Wall Street Journal, that a best-case scenario is a mild recession. It's a daily drumbeat of warnings now coming from people who know a lot about the economy, and it has Americans worried. Our latest poll out this afternoon, finding a majority of Americans, 59%, say Trump's policies have made economic conditions in the U.S. worse, which could explain why the administration is tonight doing all it can to not talk about the economy.
Work every day and you have 3 jobs, but you still cannot afford to pay your basic cost of living. This is really, really scary, and it's kind of strange because this is not what the Western media sells to the rest of the world, you know, because usually they like to project Africa as a continent where it's drenched in all kinds of poverty. Meanwhile, in your Western world, your people are literally living from hand to mouth. Make sense, you know, and it's all dwindled down to the kind of people we put in power, because I keep saying the racism is very, very expensive. Sometimes the kind of people you vote for will determine the kind of life you live, right? Because it's not rocket science. It's there for you to see, right? So whoever you voted for invariably is going to affect your standard of living, so to say, right? So for the longest, I feel Black people have always found a way to live below their means, right? It could be kind of exaggerated, but I feel Black people have gotten used to living where they are living. So whenever a change comes, to me, it's not going to affect Black people directly, because in a way, we have grown in a situation where we have mastered, you know, how to cope, how to manage the little resources we have. Maybe you guys might want to, you know, ask Black people how they survive in things like that, right? How they keep up with bills. You guys have 400 years ahead of every other person, so you should be doing better. You shouldn't be coming out to cry. Maybe you might want to ask Black people, maybe how have they been coping, right? You know, because of all the videos I've seen on social media, mostly it's the Caucasians that are coming out to cry about their standard of living had really depreciated, right? So you might want to ask on Black people how they've been coping. I may never understand why people will vote against their insurance, to the point that you voted for people that said they are not giving you housing, they're not giving you health insurance, they're going to take away your Medicare, they're going to take away, even your social security. I mean, why did you vote for them? Like, I really want to understand. I'm not an American, but I need understanding. So apart from the racism, why did you vote for such people? Is there a hidden agenda other than the obvious racism that you guys voted for and you thought you were going to get a different outcome out of the whole situation, right? So I really need understanding, right, guys? So you can drop your thoughts in the comment section.
Are we all fighting for our lives financially right now, or is it just me? I have a good degree. I work 3 jobs. I budget the hell out of my money to an annoying obsession. Like, I'm watching every single penny I'm spending because I'm trying to pay off all of my student loans. But times are tough right now. Like, man, I feel like the more you work, the more you have to pay for, and it's tough out there right now. Like, I think I do well, and then I look at my bank account and I'm like, oh my God. Or I go to the grocery store and I'm like, oh wow, eggs are $10 again. Woohoo. Like, man, it is tough right now. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only one, because sometimes I'll look and I'll be like, oh my God, all these people I know are like traveling and buying nice things, and I'm like, wow, how? Is there a secret? Someone help.
The cost of living in this country is currently, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year. That's a pretty high up wage in terms of like top earners in this country, $75,000 a year. And we're going to go through some things here. This is a person with no debt outside of a car. And please don't hit me with the, you can go buy a car for, shut up, you can't, shut up, stop saying ridiculous things. An entry-level decent car is $30,000. So this person who puts $200 a month into insurance and they pay 5% into their 401k, because shut up, people should be able to put money into their retirement. Because if you're not doing it now, you're never going to get to start doing it later. So after those two things come out of their paycheck and their taxes are paid, they bring home $53,850 a year from a $75,000 paycheck. Average rent in my state for a 1-bedroom apartment, because an adult should be able to live by themselves, $1,700. That car payment at 6% for an entry-level, very reasonable sedan, nothing fancy, that car payment's $579 a month. Car insurance, $240 or so a month for a lot of vehicles in this day and age. You're a young person, you've got a nice job, but the insurance companies still want to screw you over. Food. You only cook at home. You never, ever go out. You only cook at home, and you only eat decent quality food, because a human being should be allowed to eat decent quality food. You pay $879 a month for that. You spend $250 a month in gas. You wear and tear on your car $100 a month. $80 for your phone, $80 for your internet, $175 a month for your electricity, $70 for your water, $20 for your cash. You make $75,000 a year, and outside of a car payment, you have zero debt. Do you know how much money you have left over annually at a $75,000 wage? You do nothing. You don't own a Netflix. You don't go out on a date. You don't pay to go to a park. You don't go watch a movie. You do nothing. If you can't find it on the internet for free, you don't get to do it. If you can't cook it at home for your $800, you don't get to do it. You have $3,700 left over annually. That's like $320 a month. And there's going to be, well, that's $300. Shut up. Shut your stupid, contrarian, edgelord mouth. That's not a doctor bill, because God knows, just because we have insurance doesn't mean that we don't still pay far out the ass when we go to the doctors. People like to be entertained. They want to date. They want to... There's those of you out there that will tell somebody living like this on $75,000 a year before taxes that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, that they should get a second job, that they should get a side hustle, that they should get a better job. And the fact that you would look at somebody with no debt other than a car and say something like this to them means objectively you're a moron and you live in a fantasy world. This is,
you know, because this thing is really baffling me, right? Like, you voted for someone that vividly told you what they are gonna do, and now that they are delivering on their promises, all of a sudden everyone now is coming on the internet crying and wailing and saying all kinds of stuff. If you have come this far in the video, please hit on the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed by now, share this video with your friends, and always come back for more videos. Have a blessed day.